It's showing discourses pre-course primer.
Yeah. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. I know that. Now we have How to Love God, I hope.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, good morning to all, and welcome to Rajesh, who we are seeing after a long time. Yeah, so I think this is our third reading of Discourses, and we are excited that we have been able to sustain this group, sustain this core team of ours. I think all of them are on the call. We're missing a few. Ravi is missing. Nomita is missing, but yeah, and of course Mamaji. How can I miss Mamaji? Otherwise, this core has a lot to you know uh, credit each other, because there is no leader, there is no group. It's just people being with a shared interest in learning, and that learning has led to bonding, that learning has led to great camaraderie, and surely some amount of learning as well. So that's how it has been, and I hope it continues this way, and we are able to spread this enthusiasm to more and more people, because what we have learned and what we have enjoyed, we'd like to share. We'd like more and more people to be able to experience the same, and that's the intent of Where Baba Awakens as a concept and a group itself. So, with those few little words, let's get started with our message for the day. We'll start with How to Love
Yeah.
God. We're going
And
to read
we
seven
pray
realities.
Baba. Yeah, we pray Baba
Yes,
to be with us during this
right through.
third journey of
Yes.
discourses. Yeah. Yeah, Baba.
Thank you so much for reminding us about that. Yes, we invite Baba to be with us and continue to guide us the way he has right through. We have seen our ups and we have seen our downs, like in all Baba groups, I think. So we beat each other up, we learned from that, and the positives, negatives, we all remember some great stuff that we have had in the last 3 years. But yeah, we'll keep going. Thank you, Baba, and please be with us.
So may I
Ashok
remind?
ji. Yeah,
May I
Ashok.
remind you that when there are more than two Babas present, Baba is present. So I believe that is true. Whatever we do, we have His blessings, and very well summarized and encapsulated. Karthik, put the gist of all we've been in the last 3 years.
Great. So Ashok ji, let's start with how to love
Okay.
God, and then we'll go from there. Norm doesn't look like a happy camper. She was ready to punch my face when she switched on the camera. Cool down, relax. It's just discourses, and we're reading the third time. Chill.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. How to love God. To love God in the most practical way is to love our fellow beings. If we feel for others in the same way as we feel for our own dear ones, we love God. 1. If instead of seeing faults in others, we look within ourselves, we are loving God. 2. If instead of robbing others to help ourselves, we rob ourselves to help others, we are loving God. 3. If we suffer in the suffering of others and feel happy in the happiness of others, we are loving God. 4. If instead of worrying over our own misfortunes, we think of ourselves more fortunate than many, many others, we are loving God. 5. If we endure a lot with patience and contentment, accepting it as His will, we are loving God. 6. If we understand and feel that the greatest act of devotion and worship to God is not to hurt or harm any of His beings, we are loving God. 7. To love God as He ought to be loved, we must live for God and die for God, knowing that the goal of all life is to love God and find Him as our own self. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Thank you. So let's just go to what we're going to do on the Trello board. Before that, I have that primer that I had up. So we'll just go through the quickly what we're trying to do. It's basically what we did last time, but again, just as a refresher on how we are going to approach and what we are going to do in discourses. You just as a summary, over 26 sessions 26 sessions of 90 minutes each, we read Wayfarers. So that's quite a bit. And I think, though I was very skeptical when we started it, it's a gem of a book. We learned so much about those years of Baba's, those years of and those interactions with the advanced soul. It is etched in my memory. I hope it sustains because there's so much to capture there and so many experiences, so many names, and of course, so many places. But I think that was a very nice book. So now, as we are changing the format of what we are doing on every weekend, we continue to meet both Saturday and Sunday. Saturdays, we will read a book which is linked to Baba's stories, Baba's experiences, or something written by Mandali, which is about Baba and accounts of Baba. So that is Saturday. So we deal with the matters of the heart. Then on Sunday, it is serious study. So when I say serious study, it's more serious than Saturday. It's still fun, but basically we are trying to delve deeper into the aspects of understanding Baba's message and how to put it in our day-to-day lives to make us move forward in the path from Jivatma to Shivatma, right? So that will be the focus of on Sundays. So it may take longer for both the books to complete in terms of calendar time. But what's calendar time in between two Mahapralayas, right? That's the scale of time anyway. So there's no rush. The quality of absorption and learning is more important than trying to finish anything. We are not in a hurry to finish anything. Like we are already, reading discourses for a third time. So there's no rush. Having said that, the first book we are picking up for Saturday is Mehra, starting next Saturday, and the first book we are picking up in this format is the third reading of Discourses. Again, this is democratically selected. We just throw out ideas in the group, and then we pick these books based on that. Yeah. So let's just quickly see how we are going to do Discourses. So it's a slow group reading followed by discussion to clarify and brainstorm. When I say slow, it's a brief pause by the reader after every para. The subtitles are read out. So take care. I know it's unintuitive sometimes, but please read the subtitle, then the text, because the subtitles kind of sets the context for what you're learning under that. And then when we discuss, it's basically to discuss any personal experiences or any other context that you can bring in, which helps you understand or helps all of us understand this better. Then finally, interrelate Baba's other works and writings, that is, other textual references with citations, bring them together and also put them on Trello. So again, I should have put that down in the objective. Everything is saved so that we can go back anytime and refer it. And I'll get to showing you how we are doing that in Trello in a minute, right? So what is the focus of what we are trying to do? It's basically all the discourses. We are reading the seventh edition. So if you look at the book, this is how it's laid out in the book. So if you see this chapter sequence here, it goes, by the way, for whatever reason, the chapters are not numbered in seventh edition. The numbering is mine, right? So the numbering is mine for convenience. But basically, this is the sequence as it appears in the seventh edition. And again, the seventh edition on the Trust website is two files or maybe multiple files. I have made it one large PDF which I annotate as well, and which we annotate. You can request something to be annotated, comments to be put, and that is available as well for everybody. So anybody can actually go through the annotations on the cloud version of the book, right? So, but we will read in a sequence that's different, and that's where the group title is on the right side. More on that in a couple of minutes when I go to Trello, right? Yeah. So what is the protocol? It's 7:30 to 9 a.m. Samadhi time on Sat. Oops, that should be Sunday. Sorry. That should be Sunday here. Okay, I'll correct that. We start by reading a Baba message. We did that. As I said, we are reading the seventh edition. Please have either a local soft copy or a hard copy. Again, this is more for your convenience so that it's easier. But of course, we'll be sharing on online the page as we are reading. Reading will be rotated with no strict rules. As we are comfortable and as we volunteer to read, we can just rotate the reading. If anybody's tired, just give it to the next person, so on, right? And as I said, brief pauses at the end of paras and longer pauses at the end of a page, just enough to give the other people in the call opportunity to interrupt and ask something. You'll see. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, you don't have to think too much, but just enough pauses just to motivate anybody to ask something. That's it, right? And so again, already I mentioned the focus is not on completion or rushing through anything, but on better absorption of the concept and idea and uncovering as many meanings and aspects. This is the third time we're reading, so let's learn more and more and get the max out of the spiritual atom bombs that Baba has put into the discourses. So again, this is something even
Okay.
2 days. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Sunil.
Sorry. You said the book is available online for everybody.
Yes, I'll drop the link.
Yeah. Did you?
So when I say online, I'm saying online on our private cloud, not the trust website. Of course, it's available on the trust website, but
So
the particular version that I annotate, right? So like, I'll show you what I mean by annotation. So stuff like this, right? We have put comments, whatever. This version is available on a OneDrive private cloud link, which also I'll put on the group. So you
all
can
right. Okay.
actually access that.
Okay. Do you have unannotated seventh version as well, so people can make their own annotations separately, or
Yeah,
you
that's a
want
good idea. I'll make one and put it up on the group and share that as well. Very good idea.
all right.
I,
Okay.
I, I have a locally annotated personal copy, so I know exactly what you mean.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll share a combined PDF. It's nothing. I just bring together the trust multiple PDFs and make them one PDF because it's easier to search, right? So
Right.
you don't know which part a discourse belongs to, but and I don't understand the logic of why they have it in multiple files. In the book form, it's one book, one file, right? Anyway, so I'll do that later today. Yeah.
Thank you. Jai Baba.
Good inputs. Yeah. Yeah. So then. Yeah, so then this is more a little exercise that I did, and I think it might be boring for those who already have seen this, but it's pretty profound from what it achieves. What a word cloud is basically something that processes all the words in a piece of text. In this case, the piece of text is the whole of discourses, right? So the whole of the discourses was analyzed to build this visualization. This visualization, the size of the font of the word is determined based on the frequency of the number of times it appears in the book. So it's basically a statistical interpretation visualized, right? But the idea is to understand what are the key concepts that are being talked about in this book. So obviously, what jumps out is life. He's talking about life. So it's a practical guide. It's about master. So there is a lot of focus to the master and disciple relationship, and we'll see that there is an entire section, an entire theme around that we have set up. Then, of course, there's God, there's consciousness, and love also gets very good prominence, as one can see. Right, Sanjay, you want to say something? I see you unmuted.
Oh, I just wanted to ask you whether this word cloud always comes in a heart shape.
No, no, no. You can. I picked that.
You can choose the shape.
Yeah, you can choose the shape. That was my
Okay.
bias. My
Okay.
bias
Jai
was the
Baba.
love heart.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. You can make any shape. So I used an online tool to get this. I uploaded the entire book, and then I do this for all the books, even for Wayfarers. I did it just to see
Okay.
what's being talked about in the book.
Jai
Right?
Baba.
Yeah. So then we go to the next one. This is also available on Trello, so you could get to it later. So as you see, these are the key concepts that are being talked about, the biggest top concepts, right? And you'll see Maya is not very big in the whole scheme of things here, much smaller than love. But if you look at the Vedantic world and so on, Maya is a core concept in trying to understand metaphysics. But Baba gives it the right place, and I think just enough cover and the best superlative explanation and definition of Maya. Those four parts are amazing, and I'm looking forward to enjoying it again with all of you. So from
Karthik, if I may,
yeah,
if I may
yeah,
point out, I think mind, body, and soul also comes out in the word cloud. If you could just go back, if you don't
yeah,
mind.
one sec. Yes, yes,
Mind,
of course, yes.
mind, body, and soul in terms of the progression in the planes of gross and mental, and
Mm,
I think
correct. There is, mind is there in a big way. Ego is there in reasonably big way. Here you see that blue. Yeah, soul and body are prominent. Yes, good point. You are the statistics guy, math guy. You are always on top of this.
I'm learning from you all here. Yes. Learning from each other.
Yeah. So let's just go to so from that we picked up the themes. So not necessarily from that, more from Kama's has been one of the guys who's been pushing the learning journey in a very big way for us. So with Kama's effort and some collaboration, we picked up the themes. So more than concepts, I would like to say these are the themes. So this is a thematic approach to discourses, and in that each theme is all of these. So and as luck would have it, we ended up with 14 themes. So we grouped them again with Baba's number of 7 as pairs, and they lend themselves to be grouped as pairs. So we start with avatar, consciousness, ego, God, karma, love, matter, maya, meditation, perfect masters, reincarnation, sanskaras, spirit, and yoga. So these are the terms or concepts, and they can be grouped in logical pairs. So you have spirit, and the counterpart to spirit is matter. God, the counterpart is maya. Again, very thoughtfully done. So just spend a few seconds trying to make the relationship between the two. Consciousness and sanskaras, fair counterparts. Love and ego. Where there is ego, there is lesser love. Where there is love, there is lesser ego. Avatar and perfect masters. This is not complementary, but it's a progression. Perfect masters and avatar are almost the same, but distinct. Then you have reincarnation and karma going together. And yoga and meditation is again action oriented. So you have yoga and meditation grouped together. So these are the logical grouping of these themes. So now let's try sequencing this. So what we did, we started with identifying the themes, then we paired them up into 7 pairs, and now let's try to sequence them. So our proposed sequence, in fact, we learned from round two. Round two, we did a different sequence. Now we are changing it. First one we'd like to take is spirit and matter. And the idea is, even to a layman, the first concept is what is spirituality? what is the what is this metaphysical world? I know science, I know the gross world, and that's it, right? That's where we all started. Most of us started, right? So I think first unraveling the discourses linked to spirit and matter is probably the best way to start. From there you go to the concept of God, and we feel maya, because that's a good counterpart. So we finish God and then take up maya. Third, we do avatars and perfect masters. Fourth, we do reincarnation and karma together. Five, we do consciousness and sanskaras. Six, we do love and ego. Seven, yoga and meditation. Right. And by the way, also, I'm sure those of us with Vedantic or any exposure to Vedanta will see that the yogas and meditation have very less importance in the Baba world, though Baba has given elaborate descriptions of the types of meditation in discourses. He has a very specific. He has relegated it to a specific place. He doesn't give it too much importance. So, in the same way, probably in our sequencing, we just left it to be there in the end. Any thoughts till now? Any comments? Any questions?
Jai Baba, I was thinking that the sequence on, I think starting with spirit and matter is good because we are talking about the human being, which is basically we are all spiritual beings in a material body. And then I thought that instead of God and Maya, we are trying to go from a macro to a micro approach.
Yeah.
So once we give the basics of spirit and matter, we can also talk about reincarnation and karma because it is related with the different phases of the human being before birth, during birth, and after birth. So that kind of will complete the picture of spirit and matter with reincarnation and karma to give you the big picture.
Mhm.
And then you can actually talk about consciousness or sanskaras, which are much more micro aspect, which has to do with the individual and
Mhm.
how does that affect the spirit and matter aspect. And then, so we are
If you take that
just
approach, then
speaking.
we can do love and ego and then go to God and Maya. So you do part 5. So you basically take
Right, we can do love and ego also,
these
which
three
is
things and move them down. I thought of that just yesterday actually when I saw this sequence, because but the my logic for leaving God at the second theme was after spirit and matter. What? It's this discovery and journey towards God. But I see your point as well. So it's a arguably good point, which is then you go to the micro pieces of reincarnation and karma, consciousness and sanskaras, break up love and ego, and then get to God and Maya. Because again, God and
yes,
Maya are
it's
dense stuff, and you need to be ready for it. And that's I
and
agree
God
with
and
you. I'm
Maya.
happy to
Yes,
change.
this is yeah. So because we are talking about the subject matter first, because first this we talk about the subject, then the object. Of course,
Mhm.
God is not an object because God is the subject, but you have to go through the objective part of God to come to the subject. I mean, this is how the whole divine theme, the game is. So I think that once you talk about consciousness, sanskaras, love and ego, that gives you the basic concept of the human being. What is he dealing with? And then we are looking at God and Maya and avatars and perfect masters who are external aspects which help the human being in this whole journey. And so those are the
Agree.
first six themes, which is what I call the right knowledge. And the yoga and meditation is about the right action part. And
Yeah.
as you rightly said, Baba said, you see, yoga and meditation are ambiguous English words, but from my perspective, meditation is basically self-awareness every waking moment. And there are different kinds of yoga. We know that the head, heart, hands, that is Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and so on. So I think that is the actionable part, which is will be like different strokes for different folks kind of situation. So initially we are
Absolutely.
talking about the laws of nature, which has to do with the laws of matter and laws of spirit, which is what the first six sub themes will talk about. And the seventh sub theme, yoga and meditation, is the actionable part. Jai.
Awesome. Makes sense. Any other thoughts? Others agree with that?
100%. I thought
Cool.
exactly the same.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
agree. It's
Okay, so we'll go with that. Like I said, it's what all of us feel comfortable with, and it's and again you'll see the idea is we go from the known to the unknown. That's where we win, right? So it's lower concepts, micro concepts first, micro concepts later. So in that it fits very well, and easier to tougher, and make sure that the conceptual linkages are clear. So when you understand something about God and Maya, you can understand avatars and perfect masters a little better, and so on and so forth, right? And like Kama said, the first six themes are all to do with who, what, why aspects of intellectual knowledge. And it's the 1% of inspiration. So this is where you understand and get the insights. And this is the action part. Knowledge plus action takes you from Jivatma to Shivatma. That's the journey of Meher Baba Awakens, right? So that's exactly what we are trying to do out here, right? Practice again is this is the how, when, where, which path, which way, what is the experiential action, and so on. But that's the hard work part. That's 99%. So you have 1% of understanding and knowledge, which itself can take us a few lifetimes. At least I'm talking personally. Then, but then the effort part, the action part, is a lot of work. 99%. So that's just our numbering, not Baba's. Our what should I say? Our metrics, not Baba's. But I agree with that broadly. So, yeah, any other thoughts before we go forward? So this is more a primer session today, so we may just do a little bit of reading, but idea is we get everybody aligned. Any other thoughts, any questions? Okay, so going forward, yeah, all words are Baba's or editorially approved by him. As the newer editions appeared, of course, we know that it went through a lot of changes. But the key thing to understand is, and I know somebody has a question. Mahu, go ahead. You can just unmute and talk. I don't observe this. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Can you go back to the last slide?
You're very feeble. Your voice is very feeble. You might want to change something in your audio before.
Why don't I speak louder?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. It's a little better
I
now.
know what to do. Okay. This should take care of it.
No, you're still not audible. It's not just me, right? Everybody can't hear her, correct?
She said, go back to the last slide.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Ashok.
but if you can hear me well, then I
Yeah,
need
now
to
I can hear you
change
better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those were a good feedback. However, when you come to part 7, and I agree with macrocosm and macrocosm, which means individual and God or creation. But we can't really cover the yoga and meditation without knowing who avatar or perfect masters are, because some of these yoga I don't know, but meditations are on avatar, a different kind of meditation. So
Personal form of meditation, correct?
Yeah, so perhaps it's good to bring the avatar and perfect master in some part of knowledge gaining, so we know where we're heading, because avatar and perfect masters are the core. That's why we're here. So I'm a little bit uncomfortable to go to them after we cover all our doings.
No, so just so that I'm clear, the way I have it on this slide now is not what we are going to do. So it's going to be spirit and matter, followed by reincarnation and karma, followed by consciousness and sanskaras, followed by love and ego, then God and Maya. Then part six will be avatars and perfect masters. And finally, we go to yoga and meditation. So by the time you get to yoga and meditation, we would have covered avatars and perfect masters.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's great.
Okay, thanks. So that is that. Yeah, so this is a series of articles. So we had this issue even in the past saying, hey, why do we want to mess with the sequence of reading and so on? And then our logic was based on the fact that this is not a cast in stone sequence, simply because this was not written as a book. It was written as a series of articles. And even between the editions, there have been changes in the sequence. So there is some jivatmas, maybe some advanced souls, whoever are in the editorial team making those judgment, and it's not Baba. So, which gives us the the confidence that we can read it in our own sequence. And our logic is, as I said, two logic. One is go from the known to the unknown, and go in a way where you're able to appreciate the later concepts more powerfully because you've understood the earlier concepts, right? Yeah. So then finally, yeah, so that's what we are trying to do here. We are trying to figure out the right pedagogy for discourses, right? Trial and error, and something that we can offer to humanity as for posterity, saying this is a way to start. And it's a framework of learning. So yeah, very happy to see quite a few people this morning, and we are all going to be Baba ambassadors, Baba learning ambassadors, maybe, right? So with that, I think we are done. Let's get to work. Yes, let's get started. Any thoughts, any questions before we continue? Oh yeah, I'll spend a few minutes on how we track this on Trello. So this is a public board. So you can see it right here. Anybody can see this board, but not anybody can edit it, right? So when I say anybody can see it, I will prove that by opening it on a window. Uh, so one sec. So I opened a private window here. Private window is basically no sign-in information. And I open this, and you can actually see it. You just have to create a user pair, and you will be able to see the board. In fact, it opens on Chrome even without this. But what the point I'm making is anybody can refer this without having to be able to edit it. The idea is when you miss a class, or when you want to go back to something that you remember from discourses. Today, it's pretty complicated unless you have very good notes on your physical book and how organized you are in your learning journey. This is a way of our collaborative learning journey being digitized. That's all this is. So don't get scared about this tool. In fact, use it more and more. This is yours, right? What we have done is basically put whatever you saw till now in the first column. So we have the book and edition particulars here. Each one is a card, right? So the idea is there are multiple columns, which are nothing but lanes or whatever. And inside those, these are cards. These are movable, right? So these are movable cards. This better go back to the top. And the idea is you can move them around, and it's a tracking tool. It can be used for many things. So it's basically used in this experiment, in what we are doing with discourses, to capture our journey of learning, right? So the book and edition particulars basically have, oh, I already have it here, Sunil. So this is the link. So if you click this, you'll get the annotated version. Now I'll add another one, unannotated version, which people can download to their local PCs or mobile phones and annotate them as we read. So I'll do that and post it here, right? So then you have yeah, this is in case you want. This link will tell you how to get used to Trello again if you want, getting started with Trello and understanding this board. The process to be followed, we already did on the slides, so I don't want to go there. This is in case you want to refer to the word cloud again. These are the themes. Then this is a fun card, which is Kama loves acronyms. So, woo, so many acronyms we have here, as we have learned. And Ashok wanted to do antonyms, but he's not been very diligent. He's not added anything. So,
Question, Karthik.
yeah.
So, sorry,
So
I'm not.
there'll be new boards for the current reading, or these are
No, we are
the
using the same
old
board. We are using the same board, and we are
same?
adding data to the same board.
Okay.
So we'll add. I'll show you that as well in a minute. Sunil.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I thought Neha ji was in Mirabad and trying to show us something on the
Oh,
video.
really? Okay, I've not been looking at the screen. Nehaji,
Not
please
showing,
repeat.
I'm sure. Like to show off that I'm sitting here at MPR and enjoying.
Lovely,
Yes, yes,
lovely,
yes.
lovely,
I'm here
lovely.
from 10 days, from last 10 days. And
Okay.
it's extremely, it's so peaceful right now because there are very few people. And Jai Baba, Namita, Jai Baba, how are you, darling? Jai Baba, Sanjay, Jai Baba, oh Jai Baba, everyone. This is breakfast time, but I'm still sitting here and listening to Karthik. It's so wonderful to hear you. Hello, Sunil ji. How are you? Good to see you again.
You too.
So
Oh,
Neha
hello.
ji, Neha,
Ji.
Neha ji has a unique role in this group. It
Oh,
was
Baba, please.
literally, it was you who started the seed, right? So you are the home point of MBA, right? So you
Oh,
said, hey,
please.
we have to do reading on Skype. So that's how it started. So thank
It's
you so
how it
much for,
started. But
but
it
this was
is Karthik, it
pre-pandemic.
is Karthik and only Karthik who
Nahi,
because
nahi,
of
nahi, nahi.
him, even till
It,
today, you are continuing this wonderful group. एंड
yes.
संजय जी का घर जहाँ तैयार हुआ है वहाँ हम लोगों को सबको एक दिन आना है. We all have to have some party at Sanjay ji's place. Huh? And
Soon,
I think I
soon.
have interrupted quite enough to all of you. Let's do it on Zoom some other time, or let's please
Sure.
start. Please go ahead with
Sure, sure,
discourses.
sure, sure,
Jai
sure,
Meher
sure.
Baba. Have a nice day
Jai
to each
Baba,
one of
Jai
you.
Baba, Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
So yeah,
My
and
question
then
was,
did I hear anybody else asking a question after that? Yeah, I think it was just that. So these are the front matter of the book. This time we're not going to read it. Yeah,
sorry, I had
Sunil.
one
Sure.
question. It's that point. Uh, Trello, is it an
Yeah.
app that is downloadable, free version, or we have to go
Yes, it's
out?
a free app, and I suggest the mobile version as being much more user friendly and cool compared to the web. It's available on both. Both are
Okay.
free. So just download and try the link and set up just a user account so that it's easier.
Okay.
And once you're comfortable, ask me to become part of the workspace, because then you can edit and so on. But edit
All
is
right.
really not required unless you are helping me manage the cards, because
I
you just
understand.
need it as a reference.
That's true. Yeah.
Jai Baba, Karthik, I'm using
Yeah.
it for this. Now
Hmm.
I don't know how to get into yours. Uh,
So I'll
how do I
send the
log?
link. I'll send the
Yeah,
link. You
I
just have to
think you have
click
to
the link.
log in
That's
with the
it.
same. You have to log in with the
Same user
same
ID.
email ID which is being used in the group.
But
Then it
the
is
thing is,
possible. I could do
same,
that.
same ID. If I'm using for office, then how does that work?
So what happens is
Oh,
you have
okay.
multiple workspaces. Good question. I'm glad I've inspired you to move to Trello for work.
Yeah, I've
So
been
you
using
have
it for
multiple.
since then.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
So if you see this, there are multiple workspaces. I have
Uh,
these three workspaces set up in
okay.
this account. In my work account, I have another one. So, so if you see Meher Baba Awakens, inside Meher Baba Awakens, you'll have multiple boards. So the hierarchy is workspaces. Inside that boards, in the boards, there are columns and cards. So all you have to do, like Sanjay ji said, share with me the ID that you're using or the account name that you're using on work. And to that same, I think you're here. So that is the one you
Yes.
are already added as, right? So
Yes.
if I give you the link now, it'll open up and you will be able to see this board. It'll show up in a separate workspace. That's it.
Okay, great.
Am
Great,
I
thank you.
added by any chance ever?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I'll
What-
show
what-
your username,
Yeah, could you show me the username?
Sunil Dhar 3. But then it's in respect of your privacy, it doesn't show your email ID. So
Oh,
you'll have to remember, I think it must be the .sg email ID, Sunil, from my memory.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
then
Just search in that for Trello and reset your password if you've forgotten Trello password.
all right. Okay, I'll do that. Thank
All
you.
right, thanks. Yeah. Okay, so okay, there's a assignment backbiting. So we did an assignment too. Okay, so we'll start with the 7 realities and then go to spirit and matter. But these are all the back matter and the front matter of the book. This is the first section. For each chapter, we have got a particular template that we have created. The template is we put the date of reading. So now I'll add another section and say date of second reading or third reading and put the video link as well, right? And we also have, let me take a empty card. Yeah, so this is how an empty card will be. So we can put a video link wherever available. I have also used Don Stevens audio link. So it's like an audio book. I don't know if you have read, I mean, if you've seen that on one of the websites, there is a reading that Don Stevens has done of some of the discourses, I think 14, 15 of them. So I've linked those as well, and I've put it as an audio link wherever relevant. So you can go to a particular card and pick that up. Essence of the chapter refers to the subtitles. We believe that the subtitles are important. Sometimes they're just reference to a story or an illustration, but quite often they act as a pedagogical tool in the sense it acts as the learning objectives for that lesson or for that discourse. So we have actually painstakingly collected each of the, and I should thank my son for it, each of the subtitles and mapped it to the discourse. So we have that hierarchy in Trello and in Excel, and we have it available for anybody who wants to use it. So that we have put here. Then references are third-party references from other books. It could be Baba books, it could be Mandali books, it could be any reference. So if in a discourse we discover or we want to share outside reference, we put it here. Then there is assignments, any quiz questions, and practical takeaways. We did not do well last time on the quiz and assessment. We want to do that this time. And practical takeaways, we did well for a few of them. Again, we try to do better this time. So this is basically what each card for every discourse chapter will look like, right? So this is a filled one, right? So it has all the details. And we will add the third reading a third reading video links as well. The video, by the way, is a playlist. So it's on our Meher Baba channel, and it's a discourses playlist by separately. So somebody can just open up the playlist and go from one to whatever is added to the playlist at that time. But that's not how you would, as a serious learner would do it. So he'd probably come here and look for the YouTube link and open a specific. So the way I'll work is, let's say, middle of the week, I want to do, suddenly somebody talks to me about sanskaras, right? So then I just go and say removal of sanskaras. I search right on top, and there I get all the references to removal of sanskaras, part 2, part 3, part 1. So I pick up the part 1 card, and that opens up the card, right? And it tells me that there are that reading was done over 2 sessions in 21, D06 and D07. Both the links are available here. And it was actually completed between 3rd and 4th of April, right? These are the essence of the chapters. These are the subtitles that I said. And unfortunately, we don't have any other references for this particular chapter, but if there are examples where we have put references, including images, files, and so on. Right? So that's kind of what it is. So maybe this is a lot of information I've thrown at you, but it's actually very simple. And I'm so excited. I have a convert. Thank you, Nomita. So that should give you confidence that it's that simple, right? It can be used to even track your personal projects, your cooking recipes, whatever. Trello is very multi-dimensional in that sense, and it's free. So I think I'm a good Trello salesman, right? So I'll stop here. Any questions, or shall we get started with reading? Good. So with that out of the way, let's start with 7 realities, but I think I will. So we are not reading the introductions and the front matter of the book, but let's start with 7 realities. 1 second. Who wants to be the first reader?
Yeah, let me read.
Super, thank you. Thanks for volunteering. So
I can start. I have the
yes.
book.
Yeah, please.
Let me
Avatar
keep
Meher
showing.
Baba Ki Jai.
Jai. The 7 realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following 7 realities. Number 1, the only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. Number 2, the only real love is the love for this infinity, God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. Number 3, the only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself, are sacrificed. Number 4, the only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. Number 5, the only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand, without expectation of reward. When compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. Number 6, the only real control is the discipline of the senses to abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. Number 7, the only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Thank you. So any questions, any thoughts about this? So we actually made it a habit to read 7 realities as frequently. So we read it every third class, literally. But any takeaways? What have we learned by reading it so often? What are the, why is Baba giving so much of importance to these seven realities, and what is the true nature of these realities?
So, Karthik, these are the 7 steps in our progression for, union with the beloved.
Mhm. So do you get one and then go to the next? When you say steps, is it a sequence? Is it a progression?
It can be different for different people, but it ends with surrender. So 7 is, you can, I think it might change between 1 and 6, but 7 is, I think, is the ultimate. But love might come before
I
you
think
even realize existence, but these are more or less the 7 defined steps, but it can change to an individual, like different strokes for different folks. But that's okay. As long as the last goal is 7, is what is important.
So specifically, the question is, that's a
yeah.
good perspective, and I think that's also probably the mental bias we have from all the centers using the steps, right? Using that as steps. But I have a more different question. Is it a sequence? So can you have a understanding of real existence and also surrender? Can you surrender first? Can you do it in
No,
parallel?
no,
That's
no,
my question.
No,
Jai Baba, no.
I'm
These are
trying to
just
get a
7
perspective. Yeah.
this is just a 7 variables, kind of thing. It has nothing to do with the sequence or anything like that. It's just a perspective. And I can tell you that the first two realities, existence and real love, when you read through it, I've spoken about this when I gave a talk in the Los Angeles Mayor Baba Center last year, that only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is a self in every finite self. So, what you see in the first two realities is different aspects of God. First, which starts with existence, second, with the self, third, with love. You can call it divine love. Can also be looked at as infinity, and then truth. So, there are 5 different parameters or aspects that explains God, what I call the aspects of God. And I've added my 6th and 7th one. I call it being, not becoming. The 7th one, I call it infinite intelligence. So I think that all these are just independent variables by themselves. And it's a kind of a checklist or a framework to understand, as Baba says, to the understanding of the following 7 realities. So it's like the 10 commandments from a different point of view. Jai Baba.
yeah, and I think anything which is happening with us or around us, if we can come back to 7 realities, I think we'll get good clarity. How do we tackle that situation in our life? Yeah, that's
Can you give us
also
an example, Sanjay, of how that works in day-to-day life? How you can map this? Because again, this was something Kama wanted to do even last time, saying how
yeah.
can we identify and classify the discourses with aspects from here, right? So let's take an example and see how you do it in your day-to-day life, if
Yeah,
you can.
the real control, the
Yeah.
control over anger, lust, greed,
Mm.
that's there. So that message is here, and love message is here. So what is real love is love him in everyone. That's the Baba's message. Love me in everyone. Serve me in
Mm.
each other. So that
Mm.
message is that real love is the love for God, uh, which we need to disperse with everybody. It shouldn't be love for just one individual or few individuals. So that love has to be all pervading. And once that is done, so these kind of references are just a couple of examples I could just think of as you asked. Yep.
Great. I think that's very, very useful and very, very relevant, as in trying to see how you can actually use this on a day-to-day basis. And I think as a collective exercise, let us see in our reading as well, if there are ways we can identify correlation and applicability of the reality messages, 7 reality messages everywhere else. And what Kama said was profound, right? So he said, this is the 10 commandments. Probably he's onto something there, right? So if you look at the singular importance Baba has given to this, maybe in this Advent, this will have as much importance as the commandments during the Christian era, right? So that's something interesting. And I know you've said it before, Kama, but I just wanted to highlight that.
Karthik,
Okay.
one suggestion. May I?
Sure. Yeah,
I'm
please.
saying, that we are doing a slow reading, and we are doing it for the third time. So this correlation between the 7 realities and the paragraphs of discourses, can we do it paragraph wise? Then it'll happen, because if there is any misinterpretation, or if there are 2 realities which are to a paragraph, it'll come out in a discussion as opposed to an individualistic approach.
Okay, so here's a assignment for you. Before our next week, before our next week session, why don't you try reading any one chapter and see if it is practical doing it at a para level, and if so, what does that mean? How do you classify, and how do we record it? How do we recognize, record, put it to vote, and finalize it? So just do this exercise personally, do it with one discourse, and then report your findings to us before our call next time, and we can deliberate and pick up that approach. As I am not just being pedantic here, I will also do it. I will also take one chapter and do it. So we'll discuss next week, right? Sunil, you had some question.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, your hands up. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about what Ashokji said and what Kama said. Ashokji said these are 7 steps. Okay, that makes us think that you're climbing a ladder one by one and then finally surrender. Kama said 7 commandments, 7 variables. Okay, understood. And Sanjayji said these are practical things to compare your day-to-day life progression. So I'm mostly with Sanjayji, but I am also thinking about commandments and also the steps. Do we have to follow all the commandments equally to reach the goal, or you can do better in one and not so good in another? How much do you?
Good question.
You have to do all 7. I think it's millions of lifetimes to get mind and heart both in place.
Each we have to bring him down to the 7, depending on which is more pertinent. Is somebody who is of a nature who loves everybody. You may have people like that. So for him, the commandment number 3 would be, that reference would not come so often because it has already come to him so naturally. But somebody who is losing control, we'll have to bring him down to that commandment number 6 more frequently. So it's also individualistic, but everybody would need every one of them. That's for sure, because we are still Hawas,
I think it is all contextual.
Nice.
It's very contextual, basically. I don't think anything is better than the other or anything. We are only talking about divine. If you read the essay on purposelessness in existence, you understand the only purpose of creation is love. So when you look or whatever,
Kama, your audio is garbled.
And how each. Oh, I'm sorry. I was walking. I'm saying that the whole goal of creation is about awakening the divine love which is latent in all of us, and how we go about it is based on all these 7 realities: how to love God, Hafiz sayings, 7 Sahaba sayings, the Parvartigar, the 3 prayers, and so on. I think we have listed that: how to love God, how to love Baba, because Baba is our innermost loving self. Baba is God in human form. It's just the so I think from my perspective, understanding is it's all about relationships in the waking state, how you deal with outside world in animate or inanimate matter, and the seven realities is just one framework that allows us to do that. Jai Baba.
Mahu, and after that, I will give my comments as well. I have some responses to Sunil. Mahu, you can go ahead. Are you speaking on mute? Yes, you are, if you are speaking. Okay, so my comments are, I largely agree with Kama. And to specifically respond to Sunil, I think I'm not, I'm sure it's not a sequence, but I'm sure that you need to make progress in all, right? So it's a set of tools. It's the mechanics toolkit to build the machine, and I need different strengths in different things. I need not be master of everything, but yes, I will need all these seven ingredients to make progress. And I think as we get better, maybe it'll all tend towards a mastery of each of those realities before you get to Shivatma status. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah,
Mahu,
yeah,
I
yeah,
see you
yeah.
are muted now. Now you can go ahead.
Uh, so I didn't know how to unmute. You know, this is just one aspect of the Baba's, that's my understanding, messages that he has given at different time of his avatarhood. But if you really think of it, seven, the number seven, Baba talks about it, is a divine number. So we have seven plane of consciousness. We have seven spiritual states. We have, Baba talks about the seven states of understanding, which is instinct, intellect, inspiration, you know, inside,
With intuition,
illumination,
yeah.
and yeah, all the way to realization, right? So these are all interconnected somehow. We can't really pinpoint what's the purpose of this and how did Baba, how come he said it, and so forth. And is there any order in it? But if you really look at it, the word real, that Baba uses with capital R, I think it's very significant because he says that these, if you aim to go and aim to gain the reality, these are the real thing. These are the real existence. These are the real love if you want to have love. So what is real love and what is illusory love? You know, for example. So I think he's making a distinction between the common understanding of people versus what he's introducing in order to get to that realization. That's my understanding.
Very good point, in the sense that there's a lot of importance when Baba uses big R real, and yes, seven, very very special number. Many sevens in the Baba Darshana. So totally agree with all that you said, Mahu. Sanjay ji, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was just saying I loved your analogy of tools for building a machine. Being a mechanical engineer, that is. So you need a hammer and a spanner and a screwdriver and everything you need.
Various times, yeah.
So I love that analogy. Yeah. Jai Baba.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's nice to see a full house today. It's nice to get started on a good note. I want to keep it light today and also get to know each other, especially some of the newcomers that are on the call. So I'll probably, if everybody permits me, we'll pause and stop recording and just introduce ourselves, get comfortable with each other because it's a journey that we're barely starting. And also, I want to introduce you to what I'm trying to do on WhatsApp. I'll show you what I've done in the last 24 hours, trying to get more people into this. So I just thought we'll use the next few minutes, maybe 15, 20 minutes to socialize. And of course, in future sessions, we are very serious. We do a full 90 minutes discussion and reading. But today, given we've got a good turnout and also there are newcomers, I thought that it might be a good way of spending some video time and socializing. What do people think?
Very good
Okay.
idea. Let's.
Good. It will
Okay,
ensure
so
better participation. It will ensure
exactly.
better
So let's get to
participation
know
also.
each other so that
Yeah.
we are able to appreciate and understand where everybody is from, where are they, because I don't recognize many of the new names as well. So I'm stop recording. I will put this up on video soon. And